Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Today we're just going to talk about setting up Fedora, getting it ready to use with whatever your instance happens to be. So this is Fedora 30, the brand new release. I installed this with GNOME, which is the default workstation in Fedora. There are a few official builds of Fedora, and there's several community builds as well. This, of course, also now supports the Debian desktop environment and the Pantheon desktop environment. You can install it with Debian. You cannot install it with Pantheon, but there are some instructions out there about how to do that. Now, I've not gone into this, so when we get in here, we're going to see the original finalizing setup screens. Of course, we can select whether we're going with GNOME, which is Wayland, Classic, or X. So we're just going to go ahead and log in with this. Now, I'm going to do the setup as agnostically as possible with respect to the desktop environments. And so what that means for us is what we're going to do is, where possible, I'll show you how to do it on GNOME, but I want to try and show you how you can set up Fedora no matter which desktop environment that you use. So now we are logged into Fedora. Just give it a moment and we're going to get a pop-up which is going to finalize things like location services and things like that. All right, so here is our welcome screen. We want to start with picking our language. It's already set to US English, which is what we are here. And then here is picking your keyboard layout. And again, we are on US English, which is where I want to be. Now here we can enable location services, enable automatic problem recording. I'm going to turn off location services. I will keep automatic problem reporting going because that's going to help them. If this were a full production system, I would probably turn that off. This is just a matter of personal choice. But since we're doing basically a test build today, I wanted to keep that turned on to get information back to them early. Now here we can connect our online accounts. Now, one of the things we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to set up online accounts with NextCloud. And I think we will do it on the GNOME since that will apply to GNOME, Cinnamon, and Budgie. I do have a video about how to do that across any Linux distro, which basically I use Evolution as an email, calendar, and contact system because it works great on any distro I've tried it on. We are going to set this up, but we're not going to set it up here. We're going to show you how to set that up later. So now we are set to go. So we can start using Fedora. We get started and we have some help screen, how to launch applications, how to switch tasks. The thing about GNOME is you want to take the time to learn the keyboard shortcuts so you can figure out how to get everything running. That's really... I have talked about that in some other places. You get used to it, and it's actually very nice, very easy platform. If you're not used to it, it's a little bit different. Of course, this does not support using desktop icons. There are extensions to do that. We're not going to walk through those. Like I said, I want to show you as agnostically as possible how to get everything running. So I did set this up with a mostly minimal install. I went ahead and installed LibreOffice during the installer just to give it a test. We have some basic utilities here. We have our just some basic LibreOffice, Rhythmbox, Firefox. We do have calendar and contacts. We do not have the documents by default. We're going to go ahead and install that one. And before we do anything, I want to see how many system resources this is using. So we're running at about 1 gig, but it is running version 3.32 of GNOME, which is very snappy, regardless of the fact that it is using quite a bit of system resources, but it is very snappy in how well it runs. This is a very good version of GNOME. All right, so I'm actually going to come into the Software Center first. We're just going to go ahead and just install a couple applications here just to show you how the Software Center works on the regular, and then we'll show you how to install software without the Software Center as well. Because if you do like a Plasma build or KDE build, you're going to have Discovery. Just depending on which distro or desktop environment you're using, you will have a slightly different software store. They're all going to be fairly easy. Okay, so the first thing we see, now this is something that Fedora used to be very difficult to get third-party repositories. This allows you to do things like MP3s, video codecs, and things like that. This used to be a lot more difficult to set up. There used to be these big guides about the steps you need to do. In this case now, starting a few versions back, hey, we just enable this, and now we can install, we can go ahead and install things from the third-party repositories. All right, so the one that I would like to look up right now, and this is something that I wanted to show in my NextCloud tutorial, is the documents. Now, the reason documents does not work in Mint, which is what we were using, is that there is a data analytics script that a lot of people don't like running, and I believe it runs on Fedora. It does not run on Mint, so we're going to go ahead and install that. So as far as getting anything else running, we're going to install some things through our terminal. And I do not remember every exact package name we're going to install through the terminal, but this will work on any of your Fedoras. So let's see if I can first bump this size up here a little bit. Okay, so let's just go ahead and bump this up. It's just so we can see. All right, so in Fedora, we have DNF. Now, the apt is what you find in your Debian base, so Debian, Ubuntu, Mint, things like that. The thing I like about apt is that I don't always have to go and update the repositories. If I'm installing a bunch of different things, I don't have to check the repositories. With Fedora, DNF automatically does that, so we don't have to, which is a great advantage, and we don't forget a step. We don't have an extra step, but it's a disadvantage in that if you're installing a bunch of things and you're doing it kind of in steps, not just installing everything right together, then it's going to check for updates to the repositories every time, which I think gets a little bit goofy. So it's DNF install. Let's just do evolution. Gotta remember, it has to be run as root. Duh. I should have known that. All right, so all we had to do is DNF install evolution. Evolution is, of course, the email system that I prefer, which actually might already be installed. Is it? I didn't even check. That used to be installed by default on Fedora, so it might have already been there. Since I did the net installer, it may not have been now. So you can see it's taking a little bit of time. It's grabbing our updates. It's updating the repos. It's doing all of the different things it needs to do. And then what it will do is get out there and install evolution for us. It is running very much slower than it should be, though. That is, this should be running quite a bit faster. Wow, this is running really slow. There we are. All right, so now it's going to be go ahead and installing some dependencies, whatever else. So yes, we're going to go ahead and do that. Generally, if you need to do some more advanced custom things, then make sure that you're checking what everything is. And in this case, we're just going to run through with defaults and things. So we will get evolution installed. So now if we go into here, we will have evolution will show up here. So now we have evolution installed. So the other things you might need, maybe you might need GIMP. You might need, we might need GIMP. So let's just go ahead and just push up to get back to your previous commands. And you can run a few different applications just in a row. There's Chromium, which I'm not sure if it's Chromium or Chromium Browser on Fedora. Let's not install that one because I don't remember if it's Chromium or Chromium Browser. Some distros it's Chromium, some of them it's Chromium Browser. So there's GIMP. Let's see, what else might we do? Let's do Audacity. We'll just install a couple things. So you can see here, it is going to download the packages that we need. So it's downloading GIMP, downloading Audacity. It's going to go ahead and get these guys installed for us, grabbing some dependencies. And so now we should be getting ready to be set up. Okay, so that is now complete. So if we come into our applications, we should see Audacity, we should see GIMP. So that's how you're going to install applications. This will work on any of your Fedoras. It's just sudo dnf install. You can remove it, sudo dnf remove application name. So that is how you can install those. Again, if you like the software center and the GUI, you can do that. If you like the terminal, you can go ahead and use that. All right, so that is how we can set that up. Now, printers. This is another fun one. First, let's go ahead and see if in this one we want to go over here and we want to make sure that we have, let's see, devices, printers. Okay, so what we need to do here is we're going to unlock this. We need to enter our password. And then I have a sneaky suspicion it's not going to be able to set up my printer correctly. When you are using printers on Linux, some printers work really well, some printers don't. In my case, I have a Brother HL L2380DW. It's an annoying printer on Linux. It works because there's drivers for it. You usually have to manually install them. This is the printer. We are going to give it a try. My guess is it's not going to work. Now, if you're using scanners, I found Epson work really well out of the box. In this printer's case, the printer works great. The scanner, not so much. All right. So here it's giving me a notification that we need to find software, and it's not going to be able to install it. So it says it's ready. I have a sneaky suspicion it is not. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can just go ahead and set up a print job here. I have a sneaky suspicion it's not going to work. Let's just go ahead and do LibreOffice Writer and see what it happens to do. I have a sneaky suspicion I'm going to have to go online and grab the drivers. Now, Canon also very difficult to work with. HP I hear work pretty well. I don't generally recommend HP products, but they do actually work pretty well on Linux. And I found Brother and Epson printers are very good. Epson scanners are very good. Brother scanners are a pain. HP generally work pretty good. The bottom line is what you want to do is we want to make sure that whenever you're buying new hardware for a Linux system, you want to make sure that you are grabbing do the research, know what distro you're going to run, things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to print this. My estimation is it's going to fail, but let's listen for it. This is a usual thing for this printer. So I actually have the printer working perfectly fine under Arch without a problem. I have it working just fine under Debian and things as well. So yeah, it's not going to work for us. So bummer. Oh, wait. Nope, not going to work for us. All right. So what we're going to have to do is let's go online. Let's cancel. We'll keep this. All right. You go somewhere else. All right. There we are. So now I'm just using the keyboards. Just move to a new system. All right, let's go ahead and boot this up, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to install the actual drivers from the website. So let's do Brother printer drivers. Does help if I type in printer. Okay, we're just going to go down to downloads, and we're just going to type in our HLL2380DW is what we're going to search for here. All right, so now when we get to this one here, this is indeed the model. Notice that it already detected that we are on Linux. We have mobile, Linux, Mac, Windows. Now, Fedora uses RPM. So if you are on Fedora or OpenSUSE, RPM. If you are on an Ubuntu type build or a Debian-based build, which includes Ubuntu, Mint, things like that, you want to go with your Deb. All right. So we're going to grab the RPM. Hopefully we will get everything. So there is an entire driver install tool. We can grab the just drivers individually. We can grab the scanner drivers individually. So we're just going to go ahead and grab tool. And then we're going to go ahead and agree to the EULA. So I've read this thing a little bit. And let's go ahead and just save the file. So you'll see that it's giving us our steps down here, what we need to do to install it. And so what we're going to need to do is open up a terminal window. So let's go ahead and do that. And inside of our terminal window, we want to go to our downloads directory. So here we are, and you can see here that where our installer is. So enter the commands. So we need to unzip it. So I'm not sure if gunzip is going to be installed on this. It may be, it may not be. We're going to go ahead and give this a try. So if you press tab, it will autofill to the nearest thing on your system. And so see there that we have gone into there. And so what we're going to do now is let's go ahead and we can either run the sudo, or we can go into a super user. Whoop. SU, not US. All right. So now you can see that we have a hashtag now. So the dollar symbol means that we're under our user. Hashtag means that we are under sudo. So here we are in sudo. In this case, it drops us directly into the directory that we need to go. So now we're going to go bash, which is an executable, and then we should actually have to go into the folder, do we not? Oh, well, let's just try it like this. All right, and then we need to give it the name, which is the HL-L2380DW. You'd think I'd be used to this by now. I've actually run this so many times. All right, so now it tells us we're going to install some things. Let me actually boost this up in size for you guys so you can read it a little bit better. All right, so now we're going to install the following packages. So we have cups wrapper, we have the drivers for the printer, and we're going to do the driver scanner as well. All right, so this is the software license. I have actually read that before. It's quite exhilarating. So now it's just installing what it needs to install to get the system to work. Total download size, 3.8 megabytes. So we're going to go ahead and download all that. Okay, now the one place that may give us some issues is the scanner. Sometimes it will automatically find everything. Sometimes you need to actually tell it which IP address your printer is on. To account for that, I've actually dropped my printer onto a specific IP address on my network by forcing it into the same place. Hey, look at that. It just told me that the printer is now added. I got a pop-up notification about that. We're just waiting for it to do some things. So anytime you get a printer and you're unsure, double check the driver. Get them only from the manufacturer's website. Go to the manufacturer's website. Like I said, Brother supports those. Canon also does, although Canon printers are a little bit more difficult to get running. Some printers work without going in and doing this. All right, so will you specify your URI? I believe this is the step. This is the one that I think I need to specify yes in this case. I think this is the one that's going to be asking for the specific IP address. Okay, so yeah, this is for the scanner. So we're going to specify the IP address. I'm going to do 12. The IP address of my printer is 192.168.5.141. I'm pretty sure that's it. All right, so test print. We're going to do a yes. Hopefully this will work. And the printer just kicked on, and it sounds like it's about to print something. Alrighty, and so our printer worked. We have our printer test page, And down at our printer test page, let's see if it what gives us that. So there you go. There's the proof. We printed it today. So that's how to get that guy working. Now the next step, if I remember, I believe the second step now is the scanner. So this is going to be the scanner driver. Okay. So apparently that says it is working. We're going to exit out of here. I'm not sure if I have Simple Scan on the system. Yes, I do have Simple Scan on the system. So let's open up Simple Scan and see if it finds a scanner. So it actually says it's ready to scan. So let's go ahead and do this, see if it scans. And it does sound like it's scanning. All right, so this one here, you can see it is actually scanning, so everything is set up working just right. Now, do I recommend this printer if you're on Linux? No. I'd recommend looking for an alternative printer. It will work. You can get it working, but there are some complications I've had. I've not gotten it to work on every single distro. Now, of course, from here we can save the image. Man, they really changed Simple Scan. This is more complicated than it used to be. I have no idea how to save my scan. All right, we have a Simple Scan. I don't know how to save it now. Let's see. There's copy, crop, copy, start again. Oh, it's up here, I bet. No? I have no idea how to save the scan on Simple Scan anymore. Used to be extremely easy. There's single pages. Well, I scanned it. I don't know how to save the scan, but... Oh, okay. I get to save the document to a file. Hey, it's that one. All right. We're not going to bother saving that. But that anyway is how we can get our driver utilities working. So now we have Fedora 30 set up. We've installed some applications. Now we have our printer and our scanner set up. Let's go ahead and talk about our online accounts. So this is the one, if you, I will link and there will be a description in the description down below. I will have another one, how you can set up an online account through Evolution. But since GNOME, and this will also apply to Budgie and Cinnamon, which are all GNOME based, also you can set this up on KDE by setting up the online account utility there. All of those allow an integrated online accounts. So we'll click in on online accounts. You can sync a Google account, a Facebook account, why you would, Microsoft, a few other ones. I have a NextCloud account set up here, and this is actually my test NextCloud account that I have some tutorials on. And so we're just going to go ahead and enter the data for that. Of course, my username is testuser, and this is going to be our password. Okay, I believe that is working there. So that should sync in. We have calendar, contacts, and files. That's interesting. I'm wondering if they don't have the latest version of the online account synced into this, because there should actually be a fourth one unless they took it out, but I don't remember them doing that. The fourth one will allow you to sync your documents as well. So I'm thinking they may not have the latest version of online accounts put into this. That's actually why we installed the documents, because, and I actually did test this on Ubuntu, that when you come over to, not that document viewer, we installed the GNOME documents. The GNOME documents should link into NextCloud. That's actually a surprise to me. That should actually automatically allow a sync in there. So let's see if the documents opens and see if they're there. I'm thinking it's just an older version of online accounts. Oh, well, we can't show you the documents, but it should be syncing everything else. So let's look at our contacts. Okay, so here when we get into our contacts, we have a local address book, and this is our contacts from our NextCloud. So click Done. And then now you'll see that we have our contacts. These are just, spoof contacts from a sample database list. Also, we have our calendar will be synced as well. And so with this, let's back up to April so you can actually see these are all my NextCloud calendar events that we had for tests. So now we have our accounts and such synced. This will also work. The reason I love Evolution so much is particularly on GNOME. This also integrates in. We don't need a new email address set up. This integrates in, and our contacts and our calendars will also automatically be synced into this. Let me go into month and back up a month so you can see the now inside of Evolution, my calendars and my contacts are all synced into Evolution. This also runs my email platform. So that will work. Now, if you do not have GNOME or Budgie or Cinnamon or KDE and you're not using an integrated online accounts, I just run everything and you can manually set them up in Evolution. And I actually have a video about how to make that work. So that's okay as well. Let's talk briefly about themes and fonts and things like that. So let's go ahead and first let's, I think I have down, there we are, yep. All right, so this guy here, I got some text, and you can kind of see what we have. Let's go ahead and install some extra fonts. Now, in Linux, there's a couple ways to, this is why I don't like GNOME. It's like, I want to minimize that, but oh well, we'll just go over here. All right, so we're going to go and grab some fonts. So Font Squirrel is by far the best place you can grab fonts that are free and legal and not connected to malware. This is what I use for all my writing projects and things. So what we'll do is let's just go ahead and grab, let's go this, we have to make sure you're not pulling from off-site. These go to places to buy fonts. So I'm going to hit local only down here, and let's just grab this 1942 report. You might not recognize that's one of the fonts I use with, I use that with Tinfoil Hat Time. All right, so what we're going to do here is first let's go ahead and go to Nautilus, and this will be downloaded to the downloads folder. All right, now there are a couple of there's a couple ways to install fonts on Linux. So one of them is to install them to the root folder user share fonts. So if you were to go to that folder, so go down here and go on into user share fonts. All right. This folder here, anything that you drop into this folder is going to apply system-wide. Now we need to move these in here. We need to move these in here with root privileges. So since this is Nautilus, we can't open this as root privileges here. The cheater's way to do it, though, there is a cheater's way to do it if you are too comfortable with the GUI and you want to run this in the GUI. You can actually load this up by doing sudo nautilus. I can never spell Nautilus though. So sudo nautilus, it asks us for our password, and oh, it can't display it. That used to be able to display it. That's sad. I used to be able to load up Nautilus as root by going sudo nautilus. We might be able to open it up as root. So that's taken care of. We can't do that anymore. Sad. Sad day. The other thing, though, you can do is inside of your home directory, you can always install fonts, themes, icons for the local user. So what we're going to do, whoa, wrong button. All right, so I accidentally shut down the virtual machine. Whoops. We're going to go back to our home folder here, and inside of your home folder, you can actually holding Control and push H, this will show your hidden folders. What we can do to install our font is we can create a new folder and call it .fonts. And then .fonts, anything that we drop inside of .fonts will be installed just for this individual user. So we're going to go ahead and what I just need is a new window just to get us into our downloads directory. And here is our font. And if I just copy this guy over, yeah, We should be able to copy it over. See, this is why I use Cinnamon. I use with Nemo because I can go directly from here without extracting it first. Let's just extract it. All right. Now I should be able to drag it over. There we go. Now it's dragged over. I'm spoiled by Nemo. All right. So we'll go ahead and boot up Writer again since I shut the thing down. And so now this font will be installed for my user, but it will not be installed for other users in the system as well. Let's go ahead and recover this document. Okay, it doesn't exist. All right, whatever. Finish. All right. All right, so now we have our test document back. And now we should have our 1942 report. Now, this will not show up for all users. This just shows up for my user because it is in that it is in the home folder .fonts. You can do the same .icons, .themes if your desktop environment uses themes, things like that. So now we've pretty much covered how to install applications, how to install new fonts, set up a printer, set up a scanner, integrate online accounts, things like that. So our system now should be pretty much ready to use. We could go through and set up, how we want our system, but that's more related to the desktop environment, not related to the distro itself. And so we're going to stop this video here. And we'll talk. I do need to do my making the most out of GNOME. I'll do that probably sometime in the next week or two. But hopefully this will get you set up with Fedora very nicely. Let me know what extra things you would be looking for. If I've missed anything that you need to see, let me know what those would be in the comments down below. You can help support the channel by having a look at the links above me or in the description down below, and follow along on the social accounts if you want to see when I update more videos.